Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number
28.
28. So, this is an exciting week. I released my Q3 2024 report last week, and the beat goes on, shall we say. Median pricing is at all-time highs for single family. There's a bit of market divergence there because, as I keep saying, we can't add more inventory vertically for single family. Yeah. Pricing was up 10%. And then for condos, actually up 1% year over year with no segmentation.
Wow.
So despite that pressure at the lower end of the market.
And the older end.
Right, correct. Despite that pressure overall, the market is not plummeting, boys and girls. Far from it. And also in my report, which you could download at analytics.miami, I break down cash across the board of every little sub-segment that there is. And we have a very, very heavy cash market. And the higher up you go in price, and the more luxury you get, especially on a price per square foot basis, the more cash it is. So I'm saying this point because there are still alarmist headlines that keep coming out. It's like this script. It's just the madness keeps going.
Stop the madness.
Stop the madness. It's bubbles fundamentally are not built on cash.
Yes.
Almost, I can't think of an example.
You need that like I said on a t-shirt. Just because.
I think I do need that like a sign. Bubbles are not built on cash.
Yeah.
And bubbles are a phenomena where a market, an asset class crashes. It falls in price quickly. It's a market crash. It's usually we see the bubble pops. So we look at bubbles, we identify them in retrospect, and usually they're built upon easy usage, irresponsible usage of easy debt.
Yeah.
And that inflates the price of the asset class, lots of easy free money, and then at some point, the underlying assets can no longer service the debt, and it crashes.
Pretty basic math.
Right. This is not what we have by any stretch of the imagination. Even at $1 million, Miami-Dade condos in Q3 were 72% all cash.
That's insane.
So, and again, the higher up you go, past 2,000 a square foot, they were 81 or 82% all cash. So I'm saying all of this again because we keep seeing these ridiculous articles that at this point I'm starting to believe are politically motivated or at least a little bit biased.
You don't say.
I know, you don't say. So I spoke back in July about a completely fabricated or misrepresented, we'll say, article in Newsweek that took this Realtor.com data. The Realtor.com data was not specific to Miami-Dade County. If you recall, it was an aggregate data, aggregate kind of tri-county, whatever city data set. And the Realtor.com thing had asking prices year over year, and it said it had fallen in this aggregate of Miami, something else, something else. It was 3 areas. I couldn't reproduce those numbers for any of the areas or the aggregate, but whatever. It wasn't even specific to Miami. It didn't even pretend to be specific to Miami. And it was asking prices. Fine. That got picked up by Newsweek, and then that Newsweek thing got picked up by everybody, and it was broken telephone. Now, last week, Business Insider publishes an article with a list, like top 10 places where the market's going to crash. And they have a 1 through 10, and they have a picture for each city, and it's, a vertical list and some data points. They have Miami as number 1. And
most likely to crash?
Right. And they're completely copy-pasting the Newsweek article from July.
And that was a copy-paste from Realtor.com.
Right. And it was incorrect what they wrote. Correct. And now at least the Newsweek one was dated, like it referenced the date of the data that it misrepresented. The Business Insider article has no mention of when this data is from. So it implies that it's current, and it is not current. It is incorrect. That it's neither current nor correct, but it implies both in this article. And the article again says they're basing this top 10 list, Miami's number 1, on the premise that the asking prices are down, whatever the article said, 11 point something %, right? Asking prices for Miami. Now, is it the city? Is it the county? Is it condos? Is it town?
South Florida?
What do they mean by Miami? And what is it? What is it? But anyway, the point is, no matter how you look at it, be it condos, be it single family, be it whatever, be it county level, be it city level, none of these asking prices are down year over year. And the resale prices, again, especially single family, are up 10% year over year.
Wow.
So what are they talking about? They completely copy-pasted a Newsweek article that misrepresented weird data from Realtor.com that was regional aggregate. And the Newsweek article said it was Miami data, and it was not. That's where it started. And now they're reprinting it in October, pretending like it's new information, and it's not. And it was never correct in the first place. It's insane. It's so wrong. It's shocking. And actually it makes me wonder this. I happen to know this is very wrong because I'm an expert in this niche subject. So I look at this and it jumps out at me as completely wrong. It makes you wonder how much else in the news is completely wrong and you are not aware. I don't think this is a one-off because if they can copy paste another article from months ago as new, never do any fact checking, we'll call it, where is the journalistic responsibility? They have a huge platform and they are printing lies. I only caught this because I'm an expert. What else is a lie that I'm not aware of?
I think a lot of it also comes down to, everyone is optimizing for the clicks and the views. And I've learned this because I started venturing into YouTube stuff with live streaming and all that. And the amount of, I don't want to call it clickbait optimization, but I don't know what else to call it, is like just insane. Like, it's just
So yes, but then also the journalist who wrote this is based in California.
okay.
And she actually contacted me a week before this article came out on LinkedIn saying, hi. LinkedIn messaged me saying, hi, I write in real estate. Can you send me some information type of thing? And so I actually sent her a preview of my Q3 report with current information that's accurate.
Okay.
And she never answered
Wow.
me. And then they reprinted this fake stuff. That same journalist, young woman based in California. So I'm sorry, my little spidey sense in my head is going off. And she went to UC Berkeley. She's young, she's female. No offense, I'm being sexist and categorizing here. I will bet money that she's a flaming liberal.
Huh.
And that this is all contrary to her identity politics and the fact that Florida is doing well.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And so I emailed the entire editorial board of Business Insider.
Of course
I
you
did. All of them.
Super Anna.
Yes, I did. And including one of the founders of the organization. And I sent them a link to that article. I sent them a link to the Newsweek where it all started, where they can see it's a copy paste of that Newsweek article. And then I also sent them the real numbers. And I said, guys, this is urgent. You have a platform. There's some responsibility here. And you're putting completely incorrect information. And they have not answered me yet. Granted, I sent it Friday night because I'm a weirdo. I did this at Friday at 1 a.m. We do have a weekend. People who are not me take weekends and don't work.
And it's also a long weekend.
Correct. So we'll give them until Tuesday, end of day, to see if they answered. If they answer. And if they don't, we're going to make a video saying stop the madness and call out this nonsense. Because honestly, it's egregious. There has to be some journalistic responsibility.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, it comes down to something I've been saying all the time is that Miami is so far out of the norm that people don't understand why the market is behaving or doing what it's doing.
Correct.
And yes, there probably is some journalistic malpractice in there somewhere, but like people just don't understand why it's doing it. So they're trying to do Occam's razor.
Occam's razor is not that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the simplest explanation. Is the explanation, but I don't think so because I don't think it's an accident that she's in California.
Okay.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think it's media bias. I think it's like in her psyche to be biased. And I think they're all angry that we're taking their taxpayers.
Well, also, I like I said, going back to YouTube, I keep seeing videos like why everyone's leaving Florida, why
The same, yeah.
why
It's
the market is collapsing. There's this guy.
She's not the only one. You're right.
There's this. Is it Accenture?
Reventure. That guy.
Reventure. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but like all he does is clickbait videos about Florida and Miami mostly.
And apparently he's been doing it for years.
Yeah, and he gets hundreds of thousands of views.
It's the doom porn. We saw this with the hurricane.
Yeah.
People love, for some reason, entertain the notion of maximum destruction.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
They made these AI simulations of 15-foot corridors of water destroying everything in their sight. People just get off on this. It's a thing.
But it's like I know you get the clicks for it and you get the attention. I wouldn't be able to put my face on that.
I know they have no
I wouldn't. I mean, listen,
I know.
I'm pretty shameless online, but like I wouldn't be able to put my face to that sort of clickbait.
Completely.
I couldn't.
No, I couldn't either. It's just not in my nature.
Yeah, it's like,
but no, it's everywhere. And so this Business Insider is the latest egregious example of complete fabrication of what's happening in single family median home resale prices the month of September up 10% year over year.
Wow.
Yeah. And okay, inventory levels across the board are up year over year, but they plummeted. This is not a bad thing. We need inventory.
And I mean, keep saying, like, broken record is the older bottom end of the market is in trouble.
Yeah.
That is no fabrication since it's in trouble.
Correct.
And neither of us know or anyone knows what's going to happen there. We just don't. Unless, I don't know. I don't know.
Who knows?
No one knows.
No.
But we said this last time is we have this bifurcated market
yep.
that is going to cause the new stuff to do well and the old stuff to do badly. Simple math.
Yep. I've been saying this for years. This adds to the bifurcation. The bifurcation was already in play because the nature of the wealth and talent migration goes hand in hand with polarization.
Yeah.
Belief systems, wealth gap, all of that. That's happening on a global scale, actually.
Yeah.
Global scale and a national scale where the super high end of the markets is outperforming the rest because we are in a period of, one can say, wealth polarization across the board.
Yeah.
And so I saw this happening years ago. I said it's going to benefit from that. And then the wealth migration, the migration in the United States is very much of people who have some resources.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving to places that they feel are more conducive to whatever it is they're doing. But higher people who earn money are the ones who are moving at a larger percentage than those who do not.
Yes.
And so that's where the country is reshaping. And so the higher end of our market would have benefited from that anyway. It was already bifurcated, but now this actually makes it even more so because the lower end is getting extra hurt. So
Yes.
the lower end was basically never attracting the wealth and talent migrants.
Yeah.
It just is what it was. But now it's actually getting hurt by this law too. So it's
Yes.
kind of getting a double whammy.
Yeah. And that's it. It is what it is. Speaking of math, I was scootering around yesterday, and I went to my favorite spot on Northeast 6th Street and First Ave. And I was looking, I took my photo, I take photos there, and I was posting about it, and there was people in the comments were like, oh no, it's like condos for rich people and investors. That was sort of what people were saying underneath that tweet. And I was like, it just boggles me. Listen, I'm not very good at math, but I do understand the basic math of supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't understand why people can't get that to their head. Like, supply and demand is like the simplest economic thing in capitalism. It's like
People
literally
struggle
the
with
simplest
it.
thing. And I don't understand, people don't understand, don't get it. Like, they struggle with it. Oh no, I hate that we're building this new thing because it's going to be for rich people and whatever. And I'm just like, every unit that comes online from ultra luxury to Section 8 helps the housing market.
Yeah, it all goes to the
Every
housing
single
supply.
one.
Correct.
And that's why I was talking about Northeast 6th there is, you have condo hotel, you have attainable luxury, you have short-term rental, you have actual hotel, a condo hotel. Like, you have basically every possible product in that little section. And that's fabulous. Like, it's not all for investors. There's going to be multifamily rentals there that will start at probably $2,100 or $2,200.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all helping the supply and demand.
Correct. It's all part of the same equation.
Yeah.
But people can't separate away from their own identity politics. That's what it is. And it ends up being colored somehow.
I agree. But a lot of the hate mail that I get is from local people here in Miami.
Oh, no, for them too, I mean. Yes, correct. Because their identity politics is somehow tied to this is just for rich people, it's bad.
Yes.
And they can't separate from that enough, or their own feeling of whatever being wronged in some capacity, to recognize that it's actually adding to the entire housing stock.
Yeah. That is what I don't understand. Because I do get the point that, I understand gentrification, I understand the mechanics of it. But if you don't build, you end up in San Francisco land or New York City land.
It's a predictable script.
Yeah, it's so predictable. And the fact that people says, "Oh no, another high rise, more concrete." Whatever. And I just I see these tweets and I'm just like, "Oh, I also posted about the new Target in Overtown.
Mm-hmm.
It just opened, which is
I didn't know that. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's an urban Target. That's their term. It's a little smaller than normal Target, but it has all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the local personalities in Miami retweeted the tweet that I did of it. And 80% of the tweets from that person's retweet were negative. Like, gentrification, oh my gosh. Like, Overtown is over. Like, it's just...
God forbid we have stores where we can buy things.
And
it's not Hermes, it's Target.
No. And I was sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, do you realize that since the 1970s or 80s, Overtown, by any measure, has been, I don't want to call it a wasteland, but nothingness.
Right.
Nothing. I mean, it's been...
Why would you wish that upon people?
Yeah, like, why would you want to go back to that?
Yeah.
And it hasn't been the Overtown people have in their minds since, like, the 1950s. That is half a century ago.
People say the same things at Miami Beach to justify NIMBYism. It's the same psychology everywhere. It's a thing. It
just rocks my brain that this Target and everything associated. And this Target also has 500 actually affordable housing units with it for seniors.
Okay.
Like, actually affordable. I'm talking like $900 rents.
Wow.
For a brand new unit.
That's amazing.
It's not Section 8, but whatever the
senior housing.
Housing.
Yeah.
But like, actually affordable. It's also going to have an Aldi, a Burlington Coat Factory, a Starbucks, whatever.
Sounds great.
This stuff. And I don't know. It just kind of makes me like, how do people are that ingrained that new development equals bad? That to me is wild. It's one thing coming from California where people have a political leaning on it, but like, locals, like, what do you want Miami to be? Like, do you want it to be a backwater, a tropical backwater forever? I think some people would be happy with that.
Sometimes people find comfort in what they know. And I think that all of this stems from some type of insecurity where they feel left behind. But it doesn't have to be that way. This is one of those life lessons that if you pigeonhole yourself and say that you're being left behind, then you will be.
Yeah. And I people tell me all the time, like, oh, I want to go back to Miami before before COVID and I don't know, before 2017 or whatever. And I'm like,
Those are not helpful mental games.
yeah, it's not helpful.
You can't.
It's like, yes, would I like my rent to be, $1,800 for a penthouse in Brickell? Sure, I would, but that's delusional fantasy land.
It's just not helpful to even think this way.
Yeah, it's like that.
Right.
Nothing works that way.
Nope.
And all those units we're talking about, they will help. They will keep my rent from being $8,000 a month.
Correct.
Like San Francisco.
Correct.
But the world doesn't go backwards.
Never.
It only goes forwards.
Yep.
So I don't know. I was feeling some type of way about that. I was like, and I don't even respond to those because I see them and nothing you can say to those people to let them know this is helpful.
Well, we have that one guy whenever we often make a tweet about something happening in
New York
Miami
City?
office. That guy who'll answer, I don't know this guy, I don't answer him. He'll answer 10 tweets with some links about something happening in New York. I'm like, that's great. Oh, fantastic. I mean, I said, New York is not going to die. No one has ever said that. Wonderful. I grew up in New York City. I love New York City. I'm so glad that something is happening there.
Yeah.
I've never wished bad things for New York City. And one point I've always made is that London is a huge, amazing city, but it was not the capital of the world at one point. New York was. Didn't mean that stuff was not built in London. It didn't just decay and go away. But it shifts. There's a circulation.
Nothing is a zero-sum game.
Not in this case, no, yeah.
Listen, I mean, you had the not paradigm, but was it paradigm? Of, New York City and San Francisco and LA and
DC,
Chicago, like being super cities. And COVID changed that.
Speaking of the topic of Chicago and Illinois,
okay,
I saw a tweet right before I got here that the current governor what was it in Illinois, that they are just proposed a 3% tax on millionaires to close their budget gap.
I mean, speaking of budget gaps, I was reading that San Francisco is closing schools because they have a budget shortfall.
Amazing.
And they're closing schools like in urban inner core areas, not like far-flung suburbs, because they can't afford them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So California also stopped, was it Los Angeles? Los Angeles, well, separate from San Francisco, probably the same psychology. They stopped accounting for how they spend money in homelessness.
Oh, yeah, because it's just...
Graft is... The slush fund needed to exist.
Well, I think we talked about this, but there was a ruling by the Supreme Court recently that, so up until very recently, California had this law that they couldn't forcibly remove someone into help unless they had a bed for every single homeless person in the city.
Okay.
So I need to help you. You're homeless.
Right.
But there's 800 people in the city that are also homeless. I don't have 800 beds. So I can't force you to go get help because I don't have beds for the rest of them.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. And that was the Supreme Court ruling that is ridiculous law. So now they don't have to have beds for all of them to help one person.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
That's at least logical.
It is logical. And there's a whole other problem with homelessness that we have to solve and whatever, but that was a good thing. And also, you can take this, I'm not sure if it's negative or positive, but the no camping outside went into effect in Florida October 1st.
That's right.
So you can't camp in public areas. So, it's, and the interesting is that cities have to enforce that. They can't not do it.
They can't, right. Well,
yeah.
All this sets a tone. I found the tweet. It says, Illinois is considering a 3% tax on millionaires to solve the state's property tax problems, per Business Insider. Illinois is hemorrhaging taxpayers and general population, as is the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
So what I've been saying forever, haven't I been saying this? I said that our feeder jurisdictions are going to double down on their hostilities to capital. I think I've said this in every talk I've given. And I'm kind of having...
Deja vu?
Not deja vu, it's schadenfreude, but like... like... Part of me wishes I wasn't correct because I just see it. Like I see the primary forces making this happen and the motivations behind it, and I don't see it reversing because, as I keep saying, these politicians are going to keep pandering to the growing percentage that does not pay in because their only objective is to stay in office. So shit like this is going to keep happening. So what's going to happen? Oh my God, you're already losing this population. More of them will leave. Welcome to Florida.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines about taxes, I'm not sure who wrote it or who said it, but they said trying to tax your way into prosperity is like bombing for peace.
Right. No, I mean, well, what's going to happen here?
It doesn't work.
And when you get things like this that are so obvious, you already have a state and a city within that state that is hemorrhaging taxpaying population, and you're going to impose a tax, another wealth tax.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
Look what happened in Seattle. Jeff Bezos left.
Yes. Well, they had a tax targeting 5 people. He accounted for 40 or 45% of the projected revenue.
Him, Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer,
Just
and
left. He's bye.
bye. He lives in Coconut Grove now, or somewhere.
No. That's
a Billionaire's Bunker, the
Yes.
Indian Creek.
He bought 3 properties there. He spent $250 million there.
It's like the change you find in your couch cushions.
$250 million is more than change for him. Maybe it's like a nice dinner.
He had to sell. He had to sell a couple more stocks.
It's not like buying like a Ferrari. That's nothing. This is more, he had to call his accountant. And
I saw a story recently. I don't know who it was from, but it was about the security on Indian Creek.
Oh.
It was very interesting.
So they have like private Israeli security forces?
Basically.
Oh, I'm not
and then they
surprised.
have cameras with infrared things that like you can like there's like beams around it. So if you like trip it like and like people will find you like that. They have private cops on jet skis. So if you try and even get close, you're gonna get.
They'll be like, hi.
But yeah,
There'll be some special forces guy in a jet ski.
And it was very interesting. I'll send you the article when I find it. But it was a really interesting article, and it was like I think it was like Business Insider or New York Magazine. They did an actual like in-depth story about it. Was very interesting.
Fascinating. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
And there definitely was an Israeli connection because they're using some sort of like Israeli security software.
Of course they are.
Something. It was like Mossad. Mossad. Yeah. So.
Bezos says, I got this. I got my guys.
So on to some more positive stuff. Like I said, 6th Street's popping off.
Mm-hmm.
Gale is fully open.
Mm-hmm.
That restaurant, I sent you the photo of the restaurant that's going to be opening.
At the Gale?
Yeah, Casa.
The
something.
First floor one, the huge one. Yeah, that's a great spot.
Casa something.
Yes, it has an enormous pizza oven.
Yes, I can't wait.
I know. It's not open yet. I think it opens in November or so.
It's in November, yes.
Yeah. It's a really cool space. Inside, it's really nice. I've been there like 100 times during construction. It has really cool high arches, ceilings, really giant pizza oven. I think Russell told me it's the biggest pizza oven in Miami. I could be wrong, but it was the something best pizza oven.
It's gonna be an Instagram wonderland because the outdoor area is very like aesthetic with lights
Super
and
nice.
Trees and all the influencers are gonna be there
Super
for sure.
Nice.
Speaking of influencers, the Museum of Ice Cream is still popping at My World Center. We need to go. It has a line every weekend. That was very smart on the developers thing because I thought at first it was kind of in an awkward space because it's literally right on the promenade and it's just sort of there, but it has a line all the time and it makes My World Center look like there's a million people there. None of the stores are open yet.
Oh, wow, smart.
So it's a line. The other restaurant that's open there across the street is 60 Vines.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wine bar.
Mm-hmm.
So for every basic girl in Miami will be there, and all the guys that like the basic girls will be there as well. I can think of a few people we know that will that will be there. But yes, that's there. Earl's is going to be opening. Ray-Ban's already open. My World Center is really starting to sort of come together. Mm-hmm. It's taking its very sweet time, but there's also going to be a very high-end gym there as well. Club Studio, Container Store is opening in November. There's just it's all happening, and and the Apple Store is nearing completion. There's a lot. Oh, speaking of My World Center, Adam Newman.
Oh yes, Flow
House.
It's not called Flow.
Flow is the apartments.
Oh yeah, okay.
Flow House is the condos.
Got it.
It's very interesting. My developers are feeling that whole let's build this as an apartment and then at the end switch it to condos. Because PMG did that with Society to Elser, and then they went from Flow Tower 2 to Flow House.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think they're realizing, we can sell these real fast and get our money back.
The model works. Well, I think that they're seeing the demand is holding.
Yeah.
That's what I think they're seeing.
It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see who they think is going to buy these Flow House things because Flow is targeted to young, mobile, like Gen Z, maybe slightly younger millennials.
You need like a magic mushrooms room.
I'm sure they have it. So at My World Center, they built like a sales center, but they made it. Actually, I think I sent you the pictures. They made it like a cafe and like a sales center. So I'm like, oh look, you can go get your coffee and a condo and then join the cult of Adam Newman. Like that's
what it is. I know.
All in one.
Like, with psychedelics though, they have to be somewhere.
I'm like, is he going to be barefoot, like selling the condos?
Might be.
Yeah,
that'd be
I would not be surprised.
I would not be surprised either.
But you can look at the photo on my Twitter. It's literally one of the rooms looks like a church. It has the chairs in rows, and there's like a single chair up front. I'm like, oh great.
I mean, look, the cult model works. It works for those super churches.
Scientology.
There's tons of people who want to be part of a cult.
Yeah, I would be really bad in a cult. We both would be.
It'd be horrible.
we'd be kicked out, and like the military and a cult, we would both be really bad.
Be like, do that. Why?
Why? Who are you? Excuse me, who are you? We'd probably be like locked away in like their back
and they
rooms.
Would separate us from the others because we would breed dissent.
Yes, exactly.
We'd put ideas in other people's minds.
Yeah, we're not.
We'd be a contagion in a cult. They would separate us.
We would be good leading cults, not being cult members.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Sagittarius straight.
I know.
But anyways, it's very interesting. It's also interesting because they're going to share an amenity deck. So you're going to have the renters and the condo owners mixing on the pool deck.
Usually they separate them.
It's going to be...
Not in the flowy new age.
I guess.
There's no pour door in the new age. Yeah, no
pour door. It's going to be a very interesting combination, and I'm kind of just watching in interest because it's something new.
Something's coming.
Yeah.
It's percolating.
Yeah, it's different. Also, I also noticed that he's getting ready to... So you have Flo/Kaoba on this side. You have the little pedestrian walkway there. They're getting ready because they're going to build a 5-story retail and co-working space in between the pedestrian and My World Towers. So there's going to be like a little thing. They're getting ready to build that. So there's a lot happening in My World Center. Mm-hmm. And also there's a lot happening in the 11 district. Mm-hmm. The first 11 tower is like soaring.
Yeah, it is.
It's already, it looks like it's getting close to topping out. And beyond is like 3 stories out of the ground.
Yeah, it is.
And then West 11th is getting ready for site work.
Mm-hmm.
They're flying. I think they either did really well on selling the towers, or they sold them for too little, and so they have to make the money up on the other projects. Because
that actually is the challenge with selling too quickly.
Yeah.
Because you can increase prices at milestones.
Yeah, I think both 11s sold out.
They sold very quickly.
Yeah.
Because the Lofties sold very quickly, and that was a challenge for them.
That's still a challenge.
And that may or may not be why they're delayed in their construction now.
Well, they're going full stream now.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of new projects.
Ooh, this one's exciting. Yeah, Ryan sent me some pretty pictures today.
Someone, a source who does not wish to be identified, sent me some tea today.
Let's spill it.
So, as you know, is it Car Properties? CAR? Is that Car?
I think so.
Car? They've been trying to make One River Point work forever. I mean, I think they were trying to make work when I moved here in 2017.
I've lost track. It's been a while.
And they've launched it like 3 times, and it's just... They've actually been trying to make that parcel work since they built Minton, Wind, and Ivy, 2008. Because that was supposed to be another part of it. They've been trying to make it work forever.
I haven't thought about Minton Wind for a while, but yes.
Yeah. So, anyways. So, today, I saw a source that they're bringing One River Point back, rebranded as a Faena Residences.
How interesting.
The first one.
And the pictures are
Or, I mean, not the first one, but... But it's the same architecture. It's the same thing. They're just slapping.
It has that, yeah.
They're slapping Faena on it.
But the architecture was fine. That wasn't the issue.
It was beautiful.
Cool. Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too.
But it is interesting that they're branding it because I think they've seen that works in Miami. We're getting every branded thing under the sun, like all of them, including Elle magazine.
I was just gonna say that. I don't understand that branding at all. How to alienate straight male buyers 101. I can't imagine a straight man buying there.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm being concerned like a baseline. I mean, like, who's the buyer?
I don't know. They're gonna buy it for their wives or sugar babies or.
I don't.
I mean, I get the idea. I don't know if there's enough women that are in that bracket.
And also, as a woman,
really
do you want to buy in
sorry.
No, but you're right. As a woman, if you have such resources, do you want to buy in a building that has no straight men?
Yeah, what would it?
I don't know. That would be my thought.
I don't know. It'd be like there being like a Motor Trend building.
Right.
Like women aren't going to buy in Motor Trend.
No,
they're not going to want to be in a Motor Trend
right,
building.
Exactly.
It's just weird. I mean, listen, I can understand. You know, Fendi and Aston Martin and whatever. Those are neutral-ish.
Right.
But.
And you could have a partner who lives there with you. Like it's not one way or the other.
But Elle, come on. So speaking of Edgewater, I just saw news. So Amco sold the Hamilton and the land next to it to Kushner.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Kushner's doing a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, Amco's doing some interesting moves. They're selling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They sold that assemblage.
Mm-hmm.
And also they own the Yacht Club in Brickell
mm-hmm.
and the office tower next to it. That's for sale, unpriced.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those could have super tolls on them.
Oh, we had that big office tower sale.
Yes.
Bank of America.
That who bought it?
No, that was the building that was sold.
Oh, who bought it?
I'm blanking right now.
Nuveen? No, Naveen
I
who's
don't know.
owned it.
It was the highest price, largest Miami office building sale.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that person's probably gonna demolish the parking garage because it's like a waterfront parking garage.
Yeah, it is. But the property
Stupid.
itself was just renovated.
Well, yeah, I think they'll leave
Yeah.
the tower,
Right.
but that parking garage has to go.
Yeah, I agree. I was just looking at it yesterday because the building itself, I think, had a $30 million renovation recently.
Yeah, that's great.
Like the
I
parking
think
tower, yeah.
I think the SCC is in there too, in that building, maybe. But anyways, the tower's got it. I mean, the parking garage is like has 100, 200 feet of waterfront. It's dumb. So I'm 100% sure that's their plan is demolish the building super tall there, which would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Oh, you went and visited a sales center.
I did. I visited. Yes, it was quite interesting.
Tell me about it.
And it's a great vantage point there in Brooklyn. I got to watch everything, including that office building, and I could see where the Citadel office tower is coming, and then Bank Santander Bank, and you just look at it there, and you're like, wow. It all makes sense when you visualize and see it. But Mandarin is interesting. It's large units also throughout the building.
Yep.
They have a combination. They have like what is it, 55 or 65 floors? I forget. I think 65.
Well, there's 2 towers.
Right, the residential. They're not selling the other tower yet.
Oh, okay. Which tower's first?
The residential tower.
The tall one or the short one?
Tall one is the residential tower. The shorter one is going to be at the site of the current hotel they have to demo.
Okay.
And that one is going to be a hotel, and they're also going to have a condo hotel portion and a residences portion, but they have no details on it at this point.
Got it.
But it's not a priority.
So they're seeing what the first tower does first.
Right. And so the first tower, they're doing extremely well. They said they had 50% reserve. They're converting now.
Wow.
I know.
And doesn't it start at $4 million?
No, a little bit less.
Okay. Just a few million.
Yeah. So it has, I'm thinking out loud because it has, how they explained it was they call them collections. So they have throughout I think it's over 60 floors, I believe it was. But they have like a certain number of floors going up the building, or like collection 1, then collection 2. And so basically as it goes up the building vertically, there are fewer units in the floor plate.
Got it.
So collection 1 is like 5 units per floor plate, and then it just decreases from there.
Got it.
And so they have 2 bedrooms in collection 1. And I think that the smallest 2 bedrooms, if I recall, I don't remember exactly, but they weren't that small for 2 bedrooms. They were big for 2 bedrooms. They were like 23 or 2,600 square feet. So, no, you're right. It is at $4 million starting because there's nothing under 2,000 square foot, really. So you're absolutely right. Correct. And then they have, and then it just goes up and there are fewer units. So as it goes up the building, you have these 4,600 square foot floor plans that have these enormous balconies with balcony areas and nooks and like almost 2,000 square foot balconies, like areas. It's very cool. And they had one floor plan that had this kind of recessed nook off the kitchen where it's like balcony and it goes, it's like a protected area, but it's outdoors. So hopefully it protects from some of the wind. It was quite nice. And then the higher floors, they had a 2 bedroom they called a Super 2.
Super 2.
Yeah, it's huge. It's 3,000 square feet or something ridiculous for a 2 bedroom. And I'm like, oh, that's like a pad. That's some guy's pad. It has a giant entertaining area, a giant suite, like a master suite with the library, all these things. It was pretty cool.
How's the sales center?
Very nice. They spent $13 million in the sales center. They're going to demolish it next November when they break ground.
Next November?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not going to break ground until next year.
Okay.
So the sales center is still there. It's beautiful. It's very nice. I really like the design, lots of textures and so forth.
Yeah.
The units are not real size, model size. They don't have the space, but it is the real fixtures and real everything else. And it's very nice. So it is, I wanted to see it because it is like it could be a single family replacement like the St. Regis.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Mm-hmm. Like all these things are being timed sort of around Citadels.
Yeah, so they're going to deliver around 2029. And yeah, so again, the people in the residence tower, they're going to have the whole property itself has 8 pools between the hotel tower and that one. If you're in the residence tower, you can use the whole set of amenities. If you're in the hotel tower, you cannot. They'll have a hotel program for those. But the units in the residential tower are not going to be short-term friendly. There's no hotel program. So they're just residences.
Nice. Yeah, I think, a lot of these people are timing, you're going to have Mandarin Oriental, you're going to have St. Regis, you're going to have Dolce & Gabbana. They're really counting on I think it's important to note that in the past cycle, the people that would have bought these would have been foreign investors. Right.
So I asked the question. It was 80% domestic buyers so far.
There you go. That's what I was saying, is that you're getting people now who are going to be working in Brickell or nearby. Mm-hmm. That's why they're buying. That's why they're launching these Dolce & Gabbana and St. Regis, because those people want to be steps from the office.
Correct. And 80% domestic buyers for Miami condo pre-sales would have been unheard of. To 80% domestic buyers for a condo project.
Speaking of, I sent you pictures this weekend of the sales center for Cove Miami is open.
Oh, yes.
It's on 26 or something in Edgewater. 26, 27. And that's an interesting project because that is specifically stated for families because the units are big. They're large units. And the sales center is open. It's a cool spot. It's right next to Icon Bay,
Mhm.
Icon Bay,
Mhm.
and it will complete the bay walk there. On that same street, Villa Miami has started site work.
Oh wow,
Yeah, finally. The whole end of the street there
that's a
is
cool
closed
project
off.
too. All half floor units.
Yeah, really nice. Could be a really
It's
beautiful.
like the same floor plate plan as 1000 Museum. It's the same developer.
Yeah, they had to tweak the design a little bit.
Yeah.
The people were like, but yeah, that's gonna be a nice project.
Helipad also.
It's pretty. I like the fact that they're going with like that bronzy look.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's beautiful.
It's not just white.
I agree.
It's
I think
nice.
It's very nice. And it's a great spot. I like where it is.
Yeah. Also, I keep forgetting about it, but Vita over there in Edgewater.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
It's I think it's short term friendly.
Mhm.
It seems, but it's nice. It's not a skyscraper. It's 12 or 13 stories, but it's good to have some variation. And it's like short term friendly. It looks nice. The pool's on the roof. Oh, speaking of short buildings, they announced the one in South Brickell on the west side of Brickell Ave.
Oh, yes.
Mexican or Brazilian developers. Anyways, it looks nice. It's shorter, 6 stories, but like only 18 units or something crazy. They're massive, massive units.
More single family replacement.
Yeah, I think it's a story. Like Miami is sort of, at least for me, you can tell me this, but the way I see it, Miami's doing 3 things right now. It's doing ultra super luxury. I mean, large.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing short-term condo rental friendlies. Mm-hmm. The Gale, 600 Mile World
That's
Center,
how you
the
can
Crosby.
deliver product at lower prices because there's small square footage for that model, right?
Or they're doing sort of regular multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
Those seem to be the 3 things that we're in progress right now.
Agree.
So I think it's good because you have to have the mellows and the PMGs.
You need all of it, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you need all of it. But yeah, there's, like I said, I was just scooting around and there's just, I feel like that things have slightly changed or accelerated after the rate cuts. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this last night. I was falling asleep. If you watch, like I do, you're a little nerdy about it, you can like sense the energy of a project and where it's going. Mm-hmm. You sort of understand it. Even just by looking at the site. Mm-hmm. Not talking at news, just at the site. And you like can see when it's going and when it's not.
Yep, agree.
And I was in Wynwood, and it looks like the link Wynwood died. It's like an office project in Wynwood. Mm-hmm. And it's like really far west. Mm-hmm. It's almost 95. And I like just had this feeling ever since they announced the project, I'm like, it's just not gonna, in its current iteration, it just wouldn't work. It's too far away from everything. They've had trouble leasing at 545 Wynn because it's so far west. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I'm just saying, you can feel it.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, active construction sites have a certain feeling to them.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying, going around Wynwood and Edgewater and downtown, they're doing stuff, at least from what I can see.
Agreed.
Yeah. And the Plaza Wynwood's about to open, or soon-ish. Mm-hmm. That is a massive, massive project. And the standard is topped off.
Oh, it has?
Yes. That's going to be a fun project.
It's an interesting spot there.
There's a fence up for One Midtown.
Okay.
So that's like the last lot before 29th Street on the east side. That's going to be like a 60-story building. Yeah, there's a lot happening. And I know I sound like a broke record when I say that, but
there really is.
There is. And it's still, I think we're moving into a new type of cycle. And it's, Miami's defined boom and bust cycle is a thing of the past, I believe.
I agree too.
Personally,
I agree. Going back to the point of bubbles not being built on cash.
Yeah, it goes back to
and the domestic buyer.
The domestic buyer, the fact that we're no longer so heavy on credit, I think is starting to insulate Miami from those.
One of the Latin American boom bust cycles of the buyer surges from there, which are tied to those economies also. Yeah. So one point I've been making is that we have this base now of domestic buyers that we did not have before. We'll always have the Latin American demand for all the reasons that we always did before. That did not go away. But we're sort of shielded from the volatility of that because we have this base of domestic buyers now too. Yeah. And the Latin American buyer, which comes in its own waves, is now on top of or in addition to the domestic buyers. Yeah. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact that we're getting more domestic buyers because the people who buy those tend to be in the city. I mean, they might buy it for an investment, but they probably live there too.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, it's, a couple months ago, we went to Fort Lauderdale to visit Andara residences. 80% of the people there were domestic. It's not just Miami. It's
Correct.
It's all
It's South Florida.
It's South Florida.
Correct. So I predominantly publish reports on Miami-Dade, but sometimes I'll do Tri-County data. I've done Tri-County data reports on cash usage. I'll do Tri-County reports on pricing, whatever it is, right? It's the same patterns. So good that you brought that up. Palm Beach County, it's Palm Beach especially, and Miami-Dade are very much in the same pattern. Broward is too, but the luxury is lagging. Now we're seeing it, like that project. Now Broward has sales past 1,000 a square foot for condos, whereas before it did not. So the patterns are all the same, just the starting points are different.
Interesting.
And then Palm Beach, by the way, has more all cash than we do.
Well, because that's where you have the real money. I mean, the money you don't hear about. In Miami, people want to,
show you.
In Palm Beach,
they're like, I want to know you.
Yeah, like your next door neighbor is the heir to the tobacco. Whatever.
It's that
something.
It's always that story. They're like, house sold in Palm Beach, heir of whatever sells to whatever. I'm like, oh, those people are all over there.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I want to be wealthy someday, and I know I will be because I just know. But I don't know if I want to be that wealthy, because then you just get problems that come with being that wealthy. And I'd rather not be, have to have I don't want to have a bodyguard with me when I walk out to the grocery store. You know what I mean?
That's also a question of visibility too.
Yeah, but I mean, when you get to that level of richness, people know you're rich. They can just look up the top list of top rich people.
Well, that's like being a stalker.
Yeah, that's like public. But I'm saying, like, I want to be wealthy, but not like where I'm getting like kidnapped off the street for,
We'll have all my MMA friends.
Yes. Oh boy.
We'll have a training center in the compound for struggling MMA athletes.
Yeah, like my mom was wanting to move in with us.
That's the best.
But yeah, so it's good. There's a lot happening, and I think the next couple of months are going to be a lot.
It's gonna keep going. The beat keeps going. What's the expression? I'm misusing it. The beat goes on.
Oh, the beat goes on.
The beat goes on. That's what every time I also look at when I see the data. The beat goes on. 100%.
Yeah.
And harkening back to this little tweet I saw about Illinois proposing new wealth taxation, as I keep saying, feeder jurisdictions will keep doubling down on their hostilities towards capital, and this will contribute to the beat going on.
Well, I mean, it's like they have to. Like, it's like
they'll correct. They would have to clean house and change the operators completely.
No, I'm saying, like, once you start on that path, you have to go down it to the end, or give up on it. There's no
or somehow everyone gets replaced, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So exactly right. Exactly.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So, any other news that we wanted to talk about?
No.
Okay. Well, there was a lot to talk about, and I hope you enjoyed the exclusive tea that we had there. I think that actually might get that project off the ground.
Right.
Finally, I really hope it does, because
it's a great spot, great architecture.
It's a great spot, and that's one of the last pieces of Baywalk.
Correct.
That thing.
Yep.
So,
fingers crossed.
Cool.
Ciao, everyone. Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.